Hi, I'm Blake. This is my project, the Stone Monuments of Mesoamerica, the Olmec Influence. You can email me at bthornton22 at cornellcollege.edu. So starting off, for many of us, we learned that Maya were the masters of stone. They could carve and build intricate designs and monumental structures not seen anywhere else in the region of Mesoamerica. This, however, is a common misconception, as I learned in my Mesoamerican art history course. It turns out that the Olmec had truly been the masters of stone, though they had not chosen to erect stone pyramids or the large stone structures. They did erect the colossal stone heads, though these are not the only lasting testament to the ingenuity of the Olmec in regards to stonework. In 1890, George Frederick Kuntz had discovered what appeared to be a carved axe head or celt, which we see here, which had neither appeared to be of Maya or Aztec origin, as we can see. It really doesn't match anything we've been exposed to. And so this kind of marks the beginning of our understanding of the Olmec as a culture. So the Kuntz axe, as it's been called, is made of jade that has been intricately carved with what is known as the Olmec baby face. More surprising than the carving is the smoothness of the jade. It's almost like touching your own skin. And you get that on every part, no matter if it's carved or what, even on these veins, it's still relatively smooth. Same with eyes and the lips and things. So as Gallenkamp had stated in his book, which is one that I like to read occasionally, the Olmec craftsmen were exceptionally adept at cutting and polishing materials such as jade, serpentine, quartz, and steatite, I think, and they'd mastered the art of carving basalt, which was used for their altars, stela, and colossal human heads. As we're seeing this bottom corner over here, this is one of the really big ones, really nice ones too. And these can weigh up to about 18 tons or more probably. So these materials that the Olmec are working with were highly prized in Mesoamerica and were deemed to have some sort of religious value and things aside from monetary value. And we see it with the Maya, they're using jade and shell and obsidian for their death masks, though not as nice of a quality as we see being used by the Olmec. More of a like beaten jade mosaic that's been pieced together with some shell and obsidian. So it's truly amazing that the Olmec were able to master a craft that nobody else in Mesoamerica had really even figured out yet. Moving on to language, numerics, and calendrics, and things. So here we see Stela C, which was found by Matthew Sterling in 1959 while excavating at Tres Zapotes, which is a site in the Olmec region, as we know. So on the front here, we can see kind of what is referred to as the were-jaguar, which is right here. And this appears to be like a human head, so kind of a body shape. And things. But what was more surprising than finding this stela was the backside of the stela. So as we can see here, we have these dots and bars, which is the Mayan long count and numerical system. Right down here, we have like a calendrical glyph and things. And so upon deciphering these glyphs and things, they were able to date the stela as being 31 BC, and things using this Mayan system, which dates many dated stela and things throughout the whole of Mesoamerica, kind of drawing into question who invented the Mayan language, numerical system, and the calendrical system. Was it the Olmec, or did the Maya exist much earlier than what we have record of, and things? So our next one that kind of continues off of this is the Textula statuette, I believe is how you pronounce it. I'm not very good at that. Yeah, the like Textula statuette. So it's a jade figurine, kind of small, fits in your hand. We can see that it's kind of a bird man or something, either a deity, a man dressed as a bird, or just a weird depiction of a bird. But what's our focus is these glyphs at the bottom. So it is the continuation of the bar and dot glyphs, which dated this as being about AD 162 and things. And this was also found in the Olmec region. Before the glyphs were deciphered, it was believed that it was an Olmec artifact. But with the discovery of the glyphs being similar to those of the Mayan glyphs, it drew into question who created the artifact. And then again, who created this system of written language and kind of telling time and things. This is, I believe, Stela 11 from Kumin al Juyu, which is a Mayan site in the Guatemalan highlands, one of the very first Mayan sites to have existed during the pre-classic period. And we see what is known as the bird deity, or kind of like the rain deity Chak, which draws into kind of what we were talking about in the last one here, kind of the Birdman figurine. So possibly the connection between kind of the religion between the two tying in and things here in the stela. So, went too fast there. So here we can't, just discuss, stela and little stone artifacts without mentioning the ball game, which, is throughout the whole of Mesoamerica. So as we can see here, we have the Maya ball game court in Chichen Itza, which is probably the most grand ball court to have existed in the whole of Mesoamerica. Though I haven't seen the one that existed in Tenochtitlan, which was probably also fairly grand considering the immense wealth that the Aztec had held. But for the Maya, this was the grand ball court site. It would have been a privilege to play here and things. But the Olmec are believed to be the original inventors of the game, as is evidenced by their rubber balls, which have been found throughout the Maya region. And given that they have, readily available rubber to them, such as the Maya, it's a likely event that either they invented it or they inherited it from the Maya during the pre-classic period and things. At many other Olmec sites, we can also find, plazas, elite palaces, temples, water reservoirs of stone, and even carved stone drains for the disposal of waste. Many of these can also be found in Mayan sites, sometimes on a similar layout as many Olmec sites and things. And so this kind of draws into the question of trade and even idea diffusion. So this is from one of my books and things. So here we have the Maya region, the Olmec region, Zapotec, Mixtec, and then Teotihuacan. And these arrows represent kind of trade routes or disbursement of artifacts. So as we see here, there's appears to be what could have been a Mayan trade route stretching, from past Palenque, so probably originating in Tikal, stretching through the Olmec states into the Valley of Mexico. And this is a large disbursement of pottery and even murals, as we see in Cacaxtla. Over here, it's sort of a Mayan settlement with a ton of murals just outside of Teotihuacan. But we also see the introduction of the Teotihuacanos later around, the 200s in much of the Highland Maya sites, which kind of speaks to the end of the Highland Maya and the rise of the lowland Maya over here. But we can also see some disbursement of Olmec pottery in Abaj-Takalik and things. So there was obviously some trade occurring between these areas, given that they had existed around the same times during the pre-classic period and things. It is kind of a saddening note, though, to think that we don't really know a whole lot about what was going on in the early pre-classic and even into the classic and things with many of these cultures, given that there's not a lot of writing that remains, given that much of the Maya writing has been burned during the conquest. and the Olmec and the Teotihuacanos have no true written record on paper. It exists on stone artifacts, and it's mainly dates for the Olmec. The Teotihuacanos, it's an undeciphered language yet. So hopefully through the kind of reverse engineering of the influences in the Maya region, we can begin to um, fully understand what was life like in many of these cultures that we've still yet to uh, explore. Thank you.